So how's everybody doing? April, how are you doing? Well, I know how you're doing. You're doing terribly.
I'm good. I'm doing all right.
No, you're doing terribly. Tell everybody why you're doing terribly. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, so I have so the way our office is, it's in my basement, and the other part of my office, which is kind of my real office, is an unfinished part. But when I do webinars, I sit here in my finished part that I do let my 11-year-old, I have three children, but my 16-year-old son and my 11-year-old son share the space with me. And so I came down this morning, late this morning. I haven't been down here in 2 days, and I came down to find a heap of a mess, and we have 3 dogs, so they actually made the mess even worse. And I was inclined to clean it as a mother, but I am waiting until they get their heinies home from school today because they have this to clean. So if you'd like to see it, I can show it.
Just give us a quick shot. Because this is what poor April has to look at this while she's working today. While we're having fun, she has to. That's teenagers. That is teenagers written all over it, and dogs. Teenagers and dogs. I love the shoes, all akimbo, all over the place.
Oh yeah, the shoes.
That is so good, and I don't even want to know about some of the other stuff. So okay.
It's. I can tell you, it's not. It's. Let's see, Tostitos, and this is the other thing. They raided my food cabinet and didn't put the food back. So I have pretzels, and we have Tostitos and Triscuits. There's burnt popcorn.
You're giving the kids too many carbs. You're giving the kids too many carbs. That's the issue. They're crazy. It's sugar. They're on a sugar high.
All right, that's what it is. Anyways, I'm sure some of you moms can feel my pain, or dads. Oh,
yes, I'd say all adults here can feel your pain, and I'm sure.
I can see it out of the corner of my eye, but I really I was gonna clean it, and I have cleaned it before, and they know this. But this time, I even texted my teenager at school, and I took a picture, and I was like, "Really?" And the dog was sitting there with her head eating the food on the floor. I should feed it to him for dinner.
So that's poor April staring at that through the entire webinar. I have a much more pleasant view here today. Hey, today's webinar, let's get into it. April, we feel your pain. Everybody's going, yep, been there, done that. A couple of questions. Will this be recorded? Yes, every week we record the webinar Wednesday. It's available to you for 2 days for 48 hours after we finish delivering it. And then it's available in our webinar archives for all of our patrons who support us on Patreon. And so a big shout out to all of our patrons, by the way. Big hello. How the heck are you guys all doing? It's thrilling to have you here. And we've got a good size group. We've got about 240 people in the room. So today we're going to be talking about delivering your first online course. So I'm assuming that most of you, everybody sees the value in what online courses bring to the table. And I think that now it's easier than ever to create your content for online courses and to deliver an online course. So what I'm going to do right today is we've got the video that's pre-recorded. It's a little longer than normal, about 24 minutes. But I'm going to walk you through the process that I think is the easiest quick start. As I was kind of noodling about what we were going to cover in today's webinar, I realized that we've really come up with a pretty good formula here at DottoTech, which we use over and over again, which is based on using these webinars to create the content and create the energy in the basic content for really good online courses, especially starting out smaller versions of courses that kind of can grow. And so I'm going to take you through that process. We're going to talk about the tools, we're going to talk about the technique, and then we've got lots of time for questions and answers at the end. As usual, as I said, there will be the recording will be available by tomorrow morning. The recording will be up and online, and we've got a variety of other resources all on webinars available at both on our YouTube channel, at our website, and in our Thinkific in DottoTechU, where we host all of our courses. So we'll be taking you through the entire process today in a condensed form as much as we can do. We'll try and keep it to an hour. We'll make sure we answer as many of your questions as possible. I welcome everybody on board. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go through the list today and kind of give individuals. I thought it would be far more entertaining to just deal with the April's chaos.
You know what? I should actually make them watch the replay and see how I embarrass them, with worldwide people on today.
It would have been good if you'd started crying then. You should have cried. in the middle.
I should have
It would have added a lot to it. If any of you are having any technical difficulties today, be sure that you refresh your browser. There's a little reconnect button at the very top of the screen that you'll see for most of the browsers. And if that doesn't work, relaunch the webinar with the link in a different browser. And if you're still having issues, then you might need to wait for the replay. But I don't think that, I haven't seen too many people saying that there's issues. We've been pretty solid technically the last couple of weeks, so I'm pretty sure we will be again today. Fingers crossed. That's it, crossing them. All right. So without any further ado, let us jump into today's pre-recorded video. As normal, this is 24 minutes of video that I recorded last night, and which has our main demo in it. And while this is going on, both April and I will be chatting with you folks all in the chat. So if you have any questions, start posting them in the chat, and we'll make sure that the ones that we can't answer in chat, we will answer as soon as we come out to the other side of the video. So let us jump in to creating your first online course. As I put together the content for this module, for this webinar, I got excited because I realized how much I've learned in the last 4 or 5 years about the whole world of online courses, having come to it from basically zero knowledge. And they are such amazing tools for so many different purposes. So I'm kind of at the point where I'm really excited, but anxious that I can share this information with you effectively to get you on the road as quickly as possible. So what are we going to talk about in this pre-record today? So I'm going to blend the narrative together today, as opposed to having defined sections where we talk about the tools and the process. The tools and the process blend together. The entire thing blends together. So I'm going to be kind of wandering back and forth. But the goal today is for you to understand at the end what online courses could do for you and how you could do your first online course. If you were interested, if you have a topic, if you have a subject that you're interested in teaching, which is something I'm not going to talk about today. I'm not going to talk about discovering that topic. I don't think I'm best at that. I'm best at the process, not about the motivation. But if you've got a subject that you want to teach, how to get off the schneid, how to get started. I think once you get that first module, once you start actually producing your course, that that momentum is a powerful thing, and it comes together very quickly. So I'm going to talk about the toolkit and what I consider to be kind of almost a course quick start. I almost said Evernote quick start because I teach that so often, but no, an online course quick start, a model that I think can get a valuable course together very quickly and very effectively with a lot less effort than you think. So I'm going to talk through that. And the pieces of that puzzle are using webinars, screencasting, and then a learning platform like Thinkific. And you don't have to use Thinkific, but that's the combination of tools, is using video and webinars to create your course. So I'll be taking you through that process, and then you can start applying that process to the content that you may have in place. So, getting started. So once you've got your content, you know what subject you want. I want you to think about really limiting what your first deliverable is. One of the challenges I still face, every video I produce, frankly, that I produce for YouTube, I face this. Every webinar I face this, and certainly every course that I face this, is you have so much value that you're just driven to deliver to your audience. You really want people to get value from the time they spend with you. Consequently, you try and pack so much into the delivery that you might overwhelm people, or you might take something that could be a nice little nugget of information and it expands into this behemoth that's almost uncontrollable, and it becomes too big. So less sometimes is more. So I think starting small. Don't even think about a revenue webinar or a revenue course at the beginning. Think about using your course as a list builder or as a community service. And don't even think about it as a full course. Think of it as a mini course. We deliver lots of mini courses here at DottoTech, and they're wonderful for us building lists. Perhaps you've taken one of them in the past, so you've got a sense for what they bring to the table for us. That's what I'm going to be concentrating on, showing you how to produce quickly today as a mini course. But those mini courses could be revenue, and they can grow into full courses. But they give us a framework, and they give us parameters that we can work within, so that we don't try and deliver too much, and it doesn't become undeliverable because it's just overwhelming. So let's start talking about the tools and how we put it together. Nobody that's on this webinar will be surprised to recognize that I think video is the best way to produce your content. It's the best way to deliver content for an online course. Certainly you can do written courses and you can do other things, but I think video is far and away the quickest, cheapest, most effective mechanism for delivering course content. Now, whether it's a slideshow video, whether it's a talking head video, depends, what type of video you want to produce. I believe, though, that is going to be most effective. And the style that I'm doing right now, which is screencasting, where I'm recording my computer screen and my video, my personal video and audio with a camera, whether or not you want to be on camera or not, I think that technique, that style of video, screencasting, will lead to the greatest results for the least amount of time and the least amount of investment of money. But I also believe that you need to get to your audience and you need feedback. And so I think delivering your courses by webinar initially is a way that you should consider. And there's a number of big values to this. I'll touch on that in a moment. And then the third part of the piece is once you've packaged that content together, once you've got all of your course content ready to go, is you need a management system to deliver it in an LMS. In our case, we use Thinkific. So you need a management system that's going to provide you the different tools that you need. So let's go back to this concept of delivering your first course by a webinar. And let me explain to you why I think that this, as you look at putting it together, is going to make the most sense. If you were to deliver a normal course, prepare your content. As I say, you're always concerned about how it's going to land, about having too much information, about how you're presenting the information, if it's going to resonate with your students. So typically what happens, like if you're doing a workshop, is you deliver a workshop once and you learn so much from teaching that content to the community that you're teaching it to, that the next time you deliver it, you have all of that context now. You've seen how the students react. You've heard the questions they ask. The second time you deliver a course, it is so much better than the first time you deliver a course. Online courses are no different. So I recommend you look at a 2-webinar strategy for putting together your course content. So you build your course as well as you can. You can create a slideshow or a hybrid webinar of the sort that I do with a video insertion, but you create your content as a webinar. And you deliver the main course content as the webinar to a live audience. And it doesn't have to be a big audience. It can be a small audience. But now you're delivering it to real people. And an interesting thing happens when you're delivering live as opposed to when you're recording, is there's a different feedback loop that happens. You know a lot more how well the content is landing. And then you're getting the value of the chat and the feedback from the students and the questions they're asking that tell you what holes, what things you have to explain better. It basically is proof of concept of all of the content that you're delivering. So now you've got this feedback that you've got from delivering this course one time. You can go back, you rework your course content, you rework the webinar, adding the new features that you need to it. Perhaps now you can start writing some additional, some sidebar information, creating some PDF documents or some web pages or some downloads or some small little videos that fill in the gaps that might not necessarily fit right in the main course content. But now you've got the fullness of what's going to be delivered. And then you deliver it again as the real course. As you really promote the heck out of it. You deliver it live. You record that live delivery. And then you use that as the main content that you pour into your learning management system, fleshing it out, adding more text and adding more, whatever other information you need. And you've got now a finished course. But you don't just have a course that you hope is going to land. You have a course that you know is going to land because you've delivered it to real people. You've got real feedback. You've had real success that you can attach to it. So you deliver that with so much more confidence than you ever did before. Now it's a multi-step process, but by any definition, in developing course content, anybody that's done it, it is very doable. It's way easier and way less stressful than doing it in a vacuum, creating your course content in a vacuum, and then launching the whole thing fait accompli to a community and not knowing exactly how well it's going to do. This is a model that works. It's not the only model, but this is a model that works. So what I'd like to do right now is take you into Thinkific and show you a little bit about how that model can be set against the main tool that we're going to be using. The webinar tools we've talked about a lot in the past. I've taught you many times about screencasting. If not, if you need to know more about it, we've got lots of courses or lots of videos in our YouTube channel, and we've done webinars on the topic. So any of our Patreon supporters have access to our webinars on screencasting and webinar development. But I'm going to take you now into Thinkific to walk you through the pieces for the actual delivery of the course and the ongoing evergreen delivery of that course. So a learning management system, or LMS, like Thinkific, and there's a few others out there, but Thinkific is the one that we have a relationship with and we use ourselves. I've got 4 things listed down here for you. It hosts all of your course content. So it's a place that your course is actually delivered from. Your students go in there and they work through the course content. And there's all sorts of management tools there that allow them to take quizzes and for you to monitor their progress, to answer questions, all of that. But it hosts your course content. It also hosts your registration and sales page. One of the things you don't think about, or we often don't think about, is developing a course, is how the heck are we going to market that course? That's a big challenge if you're not into online marketing and content content publishing. So I've got a website, so I can create landing pages on my website. But do you have a website? And is it easy for you to create the landing page for it and all of that sort of stuff that describes your course? Well, your LMS can host that as well. Plus, it can accept all of the registrations for your students and integrate with your CRM, be it MailChimp, Infusionsoft, in our case, whatever your own personal management system is. The next thing it does is it actually manages your students. It keeps track of their progress. It allows them to have conversations going back and forth with you. It manages the entire process for the students. It gives them a place to return to regularly. It acts almost as a social network where they can go in, they can take their course content, and they're comfortable. And finally, it administers your courses, including things like collecting money if you're charging for your course, allowing you to manage different versions of the course, allowing you to manage student access to the course. All of that is administered through the administration module that's built into Thinkific. So those are the 4 things that we want this tool to do. So let me jump over now into my Thinkific account, and let's take a look at how that kind of the rubber meets the road with this. So, if you are a person just visiting DottoTech and want to see the courses that I'm delivering, this is what you see when you visit DottoTechU, which is what I call my Thinkific account. And here are all of my courses listed out. And now Thinkific has recently upgraded the tool, so you can actually do a far nicer landing page than what I'm showing you here. But this one works for me right now. This one, we're happy with this. So you can see that I've got free courses here. These are the sort that I'm talking about. These are mini courses that almost all grew out of webinar delivery. And there's some courses that I charge for. I have multiple pages of courses. Now, this whole process here, or this whole system here, this is part of the engine room that drives DottoTech. So many of you come to me originally to take one of these courses, decide that you like Steve Dotto, start to follow us, subscribe to our newsletter, and slowly become part of our community, and maybe at some point even become a customer, not just a community member. So you see here, we've got some courses that we sell, some for more, some for less money, and all of our free courses. And they've also got, one of the things I love, you see all the stars, is there is, for all of these, let's go into the anatomy of a successful webinar, which you might want to take if is for free. If we go down here to the bottom, where's the bottom? Do they have it? Yeah. You allow people who take the course to submit reviews. And we get wonderful reviews, which gives lots of great feedback and gives people confidence taking the course. So that's also included in. So you see here, this is what the student-looking view of Thinkific is as you're coming as a customer. Let's show you the back end behind it that I see and that you will see as you go to create your own account. So when you create a free Thinkific account, you can sign up for free. I'll talk to you more about the pricing in a few moments. But you can do it all for free, which is phenomenal. It gives you a quick little snapshot of how your enrollments and revenue are going for different quarters for your period of time. And then down the left-hand side here are the different management areas. Designing your site, managing your content, marketing and sales, and then supporting your students. So starting with designing your site, I'm not going to spend much time with this right now, but this is where you go to create the look and feel of your site, what you just saw from my course pages, and to create the themes and settings and customize it for your look. You don't need to have your own website if you're using a tool like Thinkific, which is a boon for so many of us. You don't have to set up your own WordPress and manage all of your students, etc. All of that's done here. So a big part of that is the landing pages and course pages and the ability to be able to market directly to those pages. Managing your learning content is where we're going to spend most of our time today. And when I click on this course option, it's going to bring me into the internal version of the page you just saw. So this is all of my courses, but instead of being able to purchase and take the courses, now I can go in and I can edit the courses or duplicate the courses and manage the courses. So I'm going to be taking you through this in just a moment. You can break it down depending on how sophisticated you are. You can break your courses down into multiple categories. You can add multiple instructors. You can have a source video library that you draw on or that you manage all of your video content in. And you've got a variety of other options that we just don't have time to go into. But I'm going to take you now into a course itself and show you, should I do a brand new course? Let's do it. Now let's go into an existing course because I think that'll work better. So I'm going to take you into one of the courses that I used this system to create. And let's do the online legacy, social media after you die, and then I'll take you through these last menu items as well. But let's go in, and if you want to edit the course, this is the course content as you see it as the course creator. At any point, you can jump across and you can preview the course and you can see what a student sees. So this is our content creation view. If we go and take a look at the same view as a student, this is what this course looks like as a student. So if you were to sign up for this course, you would be brought into this page to start, which basically welcomes you in to the course. And then it takes you into a replay of the webinar, which we delivered on that course. Does this starting to sound familiar? And then it takes you into some text, some supporting content that we created, talking about your Facebook account, your YouTube account, and memorializing your different accounts, what you do with your different accounts, and how do you set it up after you pass the mortal coil. It's not the most pleasant topic, but you can see we've got a huge wealth of content here that we put in, but this all came as the result of us delivering a single webinar. That's how this came together. So if I was to now want to add to this or in the creation process of this, these are the tools that I use here. So now I've switched from the student view into the publisher view. And here I've got the ability to have a bulk importer, which allows me to bring in a bunch of digital assets. I can go in and choose all of the different settings, which are the title, the subtitle, whether it's a free course, a private course, a private course, a hidden course, if there's a certificate of completion, the layout, what the course looks like as far as the marketing pages and the sales pages go. If I want to have a schedule where the course is dripped out over a period of time after the person enrolls, yeah, pretty sophisticated, eh? If I want to have it free, a one-time or a subscription payment, and they accept payments in PayPal or Stripe, and the money will come directly to your account. More on that in a moment. And then this button here, which is where you actually go to when you're ready to actually publish the course, once it's ready to go public. Now, since I touched on pricing, let me deal, before I get into the management of the course, on pricing, because I know that's always at the top of our mind. So how Thinkific works is I like their model. They provide their service for free, and they make money when you make money. It's like a partnership at the beginning. So when you sign up for the free account, you can sell your courses, but instead of charging you for the use of their services, and you can make large courses, they will take a percentage of your sales when you sell. So if you're just using Thinkific at the beginning and you're just giving away free courses and building kind of getting your feet underneath you, it costs you nothing to use. But once you start charging for courses, they charge you a percentage of those courses. So the way that it works, as far as for most of us goes, is we set up things that way. Once we reach the point that we are paying them enough in commission, the same amount in commission as it would cost us for a subscription, then we switch over to the subscription. So you get this opportunity to kind of grow with your content with Thinkific. I think it's one of the smartest things that they've done, and it shows how they're committed to their community. I'm a big fan of that particular model. Now, let's go through and take a look at the creation of the actual content in the course. And obviously we've done a good job already of creating this course. It's been a popular course. If we go in and you take a look at the same things that you saw as a student, here is the page that is our introductory page. And it's just an HTML editor where you can create bold text, change the font, do a little bit of formatting, add a video or an image to the page. It's just like working with any other page composition tool in WordPress or anything else. A little less featured, but still pretty robust as far as what we're doing. So you can add new content, incorporating videos or anything else, and every time you want to add a new chapter or a new module, you just click down here in the bottom and then you title and create a new chapter or a new module. Once you've done all of that, and once you've created your modules, you can add content into each of the modules. And this is, to me, this was one of the biggest deals in using Thinkific. When I first clicked on adding content, it was like my mind was opened up to the potential of what I could do in an online course. These are the different assets that you can add to your course modules. And just read through them. A video, obviously. We've talked about that. Quiz. They can create multi-question quizzes with multiple answers that you can test students on. There's a quiz building module built right in. Wow. Multimedia, where you add animations. Text, which is what we see here, which is just a basic page layout. You can do surveys. You can upload PDFs. You can create discussion forums. You can incorporate just pure audio files. You can create a download link. You can upload a slideshow as a presentation, and you can even test your students with an exam here, and whether or not that is a check mark, checking off one answer, or essay questions, you can set it all up depending on what style of course you're delivering. And you can even set it up to offer certificates at the end. It is so robust and it has so many different features all built in that just looking at this, I think it inspires you to create richer and more valuable courses. That, to me, is another part of the magic of Thinkific, is just how capable they are in creating our online course content. Let me go back to the main menu and let's go through the last two aspects that Thinkific brings. So after we go into managing our content, we have the marketing and sales. Now this allows us to create discount coupons, to create sales widgets. Sales widgets are pretty cool. It allows us to take any of the courses and to create a little widget that we can install on a website or that we can use in social media so that people can register dynamically from other pages. You can check all of your orders. Integrations is how it integrates with other third-party products, and it's got a lot of different third-party products that it integrates with. Payment systems, Stripe and PayPal, which I'm using, Zapier, Infusionsoft, which we have connected, Google Analytics. You can set up Facebook tracking pixels. You can integrate it with ConvertKit, MailChimp, Aweber, ActiveCampaign, student success modules like Accredible, which will allow you to create course certificates, discuss for discussion. You can see that there's all sorts of different tools that it integrates with, and certainly since we also have here Zapier, it even integrates with more through the Zapier integration. You can set up affiliate programs so you can reward others for helping to sell your course. All of that is in the marketing module. Again, very robust. And finally, managing your students themselves, communicating with them, seeing their progress, entering the discussions, marking all of their quizzes and surveys, offering notifications on what's happening with the course, all built in to the supporting your students part of the module as well. So I think you'll see that Thinkific really brings pretty much everything that I need to the game as far as delivering my courses. So let me recap before we get into the question and answer. I think that this is one system which is just super simple for delivering your first online course. You've got your content. You know what you want to deliver content in. Make a slideshow just like you would normally for if you were offering this at any conference, if you're offering this information at a conference or in a workshop. Create your slideshow which has your course content. Record that part of the main part of the content as a video, and then present it in a webinar to your community, to a small subset of your community even. Get the feedback from them from the first delivery of that webinar with the course content, craft the rest of your content, revise the content, and deliver it again as a full instructional webinar course, mini course. Deliver it by webinar, take the recording of that webinar, use that as the heart to craft the rest of the course for evergreen delivery around it, and then build your landing page, do your marketing, and start to promote your webinar. Now, as I say, it doesn't have to be for revenue right at the beginning. This can be for list building, this can be for experience, this can be for a lot of different things. But that model, you can very quickly, I think, and effectively put together your first online course with a tremendous amount of confidence and a check mark at each step of the way, knowing that you're doing something that is created properly with value that your community is going to find useful. That's it. I hope I've explained that well. I'm so anxious about this. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say now as we return to the live section. And I am back. So many good questions. So much. This is such a, I mean, this is tackling this broad a topic and with so many variables in just a 1 hour webinar is a bit of a challenge. But you guys, the questions that you were asking were great. I think that we opened your eyes to a few different options. So I'm energized by that. So here's what's going to happen now is we're going to take a few moments. I'm going to fill you in on how DottoTech does all of this produces all of this great content, and then we're going to dive into all of your Q&As. We've got lots of questions. We'll go through as many of them as we can. We're going to have about a half an hour to go through all the questions so that we've got plenty of time to answer them. And there's some doozies of questions I would see. But before we do that, just a quick note. Actually, I'll do this. Let me launch my slideshow. Last week, the slideshow didn't launch, but let's see if it launches today. Is it working? It isn't that interesting. There's a bug. There's a bug. So I should have tested it. So we'll know that. We'll try and figure it out for next week. Dag nabbit. Okay, let's try screen sharing. Is screen sharing going to work? Do I have it loaded? Let me just see if I got it here. I do have it here. Just a minute. Let me get it ready. Okay. Technical issues. I love technical issues. Okay, there we go.
They're the best.
I don't actually love technical issues.
So.
I would be lying if I said I love technical issues. Okay,
I see it.
So yes, good. So tomorrow morning there'll be a replay send out. So everybody who's in this webinar today, we will send you an email which will include the replay link. Now, the key, it's going to include all the resources. So we'll have links to Thinkific and in the different. We've got lots of mini courses and lots of videos. We'll include all of those in the link that we send to you, or in the email that we send to you tomorrow. Now, one of the keys that we do with our replays, which I think is an awesome way to do it, is I send you the replay in YouTube rather than having to watch it here in Webinar Jam. Again, if you watch it in Webinar Jam, you got to watch it in real time, and it's going to take a full hour to watch. The replay that we send, you can fast forward through because we're going to send it to you in YouTube. And here's a tip. You can also use the YouTube settings to set it for double speed, and you'll be surprised at how easy it is to still follow what we're saying, even at double speed. So it takes you half the time. You increase your information density. It's winner, winner, chicken dinner. After 48 hours, that YouTube replay will be pulled down, and then the video will be available. It'll be archived. The entire webinar will be archived for the benefit of our patrons at Patreon. So that is, Patreon is a huge key to why we're able to produce these webinars on a weekly basis and these tutorial webinars. DottoTech is supported through the generosity of our community at Patreon. And for those of you who are our patrons, big shout out to you and a big thank you. You folks know how much you mean to us. But for those of you that don't know what Patreon is, it's crowdfunding, but for content creators. So people like ourselves, we create content. You go to Patreon, you support us financially to the tune of $10 a month. And for that $10, you get access to all of the just about 60 of these tutorial type webinars available to you, covering everything from email overload to developing your first website to creating online video. We've got just a huge assortment of different webinars that are available to you. Plus, our patrons get our courses, our regular paid courses, at a severe discount. Our mini courses are only $9.95, and our premium courses, which we sell for $4.99, patrons pay $250 for. And our Evernote Made Easy course, which is our productivity flagship course, they also get for half price. So that all of those benefits. But the big thing is that you're part of the community. You're helping us produce this content on a weekly basis, and it's just a great win for all of us. So we appreciate it ever so much. There's a sample of a couple of the different webinars that we have. Next week we are going to be talking about my productivity, kind of the secret key to productivity that I found in life. What's that movie, The City Slickers? There's just one thing. just one thing you need to know about making your productivity tools work for you. I'm going to be talking about that next week. The following week, we're actually going to be taking a week off. I think that we're going to have, is it the following week we're taking a week off? And anyway, we've got July 4th coming up, which will be a week off. And then the week after that, the week after that is July. We take the week off for July 4th. And then I'll be going to VidCon, and I will be doing a VidCon recap. Which is going to be really exciting, seeing what's happening down at VidCon, which is, of course, the big YouTube conference. But that is for the future. For today, we now need to get in. April, did you drop the link in for, let me turn off the screen sharing. There we go. Did that stop? Oh, nope, there we go. Did you drop the link in for Patreon? If not, could you please do so that anybody that's interested. You're way ahead of me. Good girl. Good girl. I shouldn't call you a girl. Good woman. Well done, woman. All right. Are we ready for Q&A?
We are. We have lots of questions.
Sue loves that we put it on YouTube, thinking of speeding it up. Yes. We try and do as much as we can to make things as valuable as possible. We're good at that. All right.
All righty. Here we go. Are you ready?
Go. Yes.
Our friend Cheryl is asking, do these tools work on both Apple and Microsoft? Let me think. Might be different than the Mac version, but everything that we've shown is certainly all of the online tools, things like Thinkific, they all work just fine, or the webinar tools, they all work just fine in Windows and Mac. So you're very much operating system agnostic in creating online courses. Okay. Daryl's asking, Steve, are you going to be covering where the videos will be hosted?
Okay, he asked. Yeah, that's a great question. So I want to just. So I think we showed that a little bit in the video, but effectively you've got a couple of different choices with a tool like Thinkific. You can host your videos on YouTube, and you can embed them in the web page so that they're embedded then, and then you can make them private on YouTube so that only the web page can see them. So that is one way you can do it. But one of the really nice aspects of Thinkific is they have a license with Wistia to provide all of the video. Wistia is one of the top online video suppliers as far as providing streaming services. They're really high quality, really easy for you to protect your videos so that other people can't gain access to your videos, and they allow you to upload an unlimited amount, which is actually a huge deal if you stop and think about it, because your Thinkific account, once you get into the paid levels, is probably going to be $99 a month if you're like a level that we do ours at. If to serve the amount of video that I'd be serving, I'd either have to rely on YouTube, which has some issues as far as the ability for people to be able to access them for gating it for privacy. So I would have to have either a Vimeo or a Wistia account, which would probably cost me anywhere between $30 and $60 a month for the amount of videos that I have hosted on Thinkific, but that's all included. So that's one of the really nice benefits. And you can manage your library very effectively. They give you several different options for managing your library. So you got two options. You can upload it yourself, and if you do have a Wistia or Vimeo account, you can link from those videos, or you can upload your videos directly into Thinkific. There is a 2 gigabyte limit to the size of the video. So if you have larger videos, you might have to break them into smaller chunks, or where they also teach you how to use a tool like Handbrake to compress them and make them slightly smaller so that they fit. But we've never bumped our head into those limitations, and we've got lots of online courses.
All right, the next question is from Andre. Steve, how does knowing that your course will be mostly seen on mobile platforms impact your design? I'm getting background noise. Are you?
No. Do you want me to?
No, I can hear myself talking double on your side.
I'm going to turn you down a little bit here. Right. It might be coming through here. Let me know if you are hearing it. Okay, so how would it? I wouldn't consider myself to be like a content expert on online courses, but if I knew that I was going to be delivering a course mainly in video, mainly in mobile, I would really concentrate on heavy video delivery, because video is so easy to consume in mobile, whereas reading text pages, like reading full web pages with descriptions and lists and all that stuff, is much more difficult in mobile. So as much as possible, I would move everything into the video realm if I was delivering my course mainly in mobile.
Okay, let's see. Sam is asking, if we follow that thought about a course having 2 times, one being for initial delivery and the second to expand additional information based on the results of your first one. Will you have a second webinar on this subject?
Yeah, absolutely. That would probably, I would like have a beta webinar that where I almost like a soft launch where you don't promote it to your entire community, but you promote it much more kind of in a controlled environment, or even limit the number of seats. Say we're only allowing 20 seats. We're only, the first 20 people get in, and then do it to a broader audience the second time. That's just one technique. It's not set in stone. Whatever works best for you and whatever kind of resonates. But the bottom line is, you are going to get a tremendous feel for how your content lands from the first time you deliver it. And you always go, anytime you deliver a course, if it's just one time, you go, geez, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. So this kind of mitigates that issue. It allows you to do it and say, yeah, now for the real delivery, when I'm really starting to charge for it, I'm going to add those things. And you just have an elevated product as a result.
All righty. Let's see. What do you think of Udemy? I can't even say it right.
Udemy. Yeah, we've looked at it, and I've put some courses up in it to see how it worked. And the problem with Udemy is you're really stuck in their ability, their desire to get people to kind of buy licenses. And there's value in their social marketing and how aggressively they market their platform. But I think you have to be the value you're going to get out of any single course is very limited. You have to be a really consistent publisher and be turning out an awful lot of content to make it worthwhile. So it's an option, but I think for somebody like myself, I vastly prefer having much more control over my product. With the caveat being, we spend most of our energy marketing. Even though we're not necessarily selling our courses, we're building our brand, we're building awareness from our content publishing metaphor. So we're constantly reaching out and trying to add new people to our community all the time anyways. Udemy does a very good job of doing that for you. So if you're in that position, it might be well worth looking into.
Sorry, I had to turn my mic back on. I was coughing. Ray is asking, I don't see a problem creating and delivering courses via webinar. What I see is the problem is getting people to participate in the live version. I've delivered to one person in the audience.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Yeah, and that's an area that really this webinar today can't answer the questions for you, because that's a marketing question. That's how you're building your community. When we look at what we do here, for example, because I think we'd be a prototypical company that produces, makes a lot of our money off of our online courses. When I look at the time spent on the online courses versus our time spent just generally building our community, it's probably 70-30, where we spend only about 30% of our time on the real revenue content stuff, and the 70% of our time is spent building community, introducing ourselves to people, tying them to us, getting them to the point where they trust us and appreciate the value that we offer, so that they are ripe and they are ready and they are fertile for us to actually sell our courses to when the time comes. And that's a difficult thing to do. That's one of the biggest learning curves that I had as I moved from traditional media into this online space. So that's just hard work, marketing, building your brand, building your community, talking to your audience, introducing yourself to lots and lots of people. I'll take the net. Are you okay?
Yeah, I just have.
It's all the diseases floating around from all of that mess.
I'm getting over a cold, and it's that wonderful post-nasal crud.
Yes. Thank you. You're really oversharing today.
I know. I'm so sorry, everybody. He put me up to it earlier.
True that.
Ruth Ann is saying, I don't use slides. I use images in Canva to create images with minimal content and speak the rest. Believe it or not, have trouble adding images in Google and recording audio.
Yeah, so creating simple screencasts. I think Ruth Ann was saying that she was having trouble with ScreenFlow. Creating simple content, the KISS principle really comes into play. So if you're using a tool like Canva or Spark, Adobe Spark, to create images, and then you're delivering them from their web interface, what I would do is I would capture all of those images, and then I would put them into a presentation package that's designed to present them at the time I'm doing the audio recording. So I would put them into Google Slides or into PowerPoint or into Keynote, and I would then deliver them at that point there from those packages, because you have a lot more control at that point there, and you're not waiting for the web to refresh, and you've basically got them in a presentation format. Now, as far as recording the audio, tools like Keynote and PowerPoint will allow you to record audio directly and actually create a file from it. You can also use it, if you're on a Mac, use a tool like QuickTime to record your audio. There's a lot of different ways to get the recording done, and we cover a lot of those in our screencasting tutorials. And I think we've got so if you visit the DottoTechU, you'll find an introduction to screencasting. I think the one that might be most valuable is how I create videos in less time than writing a blog, and that talks through how I create the videos, which we use as our main content. But that would be something that I would look at as a possibility to help you through that content creation phase. Using Camtasia, that's perfect.
Camilla's asking, are there any language options? Can you change the currency to euros?
You can change the language. I know that. I'm only talking about Thinkific. I know that they have multiple language options. Currency options, you can determine yourself based on the accounts that you're setting up. So you can set it up for any currency you want. You're going to pay for your account in US dollars. So your deal with Thinkific, you're going to be paying out in US dollars, but you can certainly set up to collect money in any currency you choose. They have both Stripe and PayPal options. Let me know if that weed whacker that I'm hearing in the background is bothering us here. It's amazing how they've decided to weed whack right when we're doing webinars every week now.
Every week, yes. Lorraine is saying that Thinkific is difficult in the setup, but Udemy seems simple. What are your thoughts?
I think where you're running into difficulty, Lorraine, is in the initial setup for your site itself. When you're into the course, I think Thinkific is really easy to actually develop and create the course content, because they basically walk you through it step by step. So that initial site setup shouldn't stop you, because you really don't, other than putting in basic information, you can actually create your site and just get in and create your course content and then come back to it. And you'll have to trust me on this, but if you go in and you create your course content and actually just kind of bully your way past that, just fill in the fields, but don't worry about how the landing page looks. Go in and create your content. You'll get much more comfortable with the tool, and when you go back and start working on the page, it will seem much more intuitive. I can't walk you through the process, but I don't find Thinkific to be a difficult product to use. Once you're into it, their online help is really quite good. But I suspect you're probably overthinking the beginning, which is understandable, because it's understanding the difference between your landing pages and your course content. That's the relationship that you're having difficulty with. I can't hear you. You muted you.
Yep.
There.
Sorry. George is asking, do you split your webinar content for having short videos in the Thinkific platform?
No, I don't usually do that. I normally play back the webinar full length, but normally I try and keep, like when I'm doing an online course and I'm using my webinars for online courses, very often my webinars are half hour to 35 minutes. So they're a little bit tighter and shorter, because when you're really doing heavy teaching, sometimes shorter is better, right? You're going to deliver more value in a shorter period of time, allowing people to concentrate more intently. So I don't break them up, but there's no reason that you shouldn't. It would be very easy to do, and it would be very logical to break them into sections.
Okay. Let's see. Kate is asking, I've seen lots of comparisons between Thinkific and Teachable, and they sound fairly well balanced for features. What led you to decide Thinkific over Learnable?
It was pretty simple for me. Thinkific is based here in Vancouver, where I live, and I met the founder. And I met the team, and I liked them, and I liked their moral fiber. I liked who they were. I liked what they were doing. They took feedback from me, and I feel like I'm kind of part of them. So I have a little more intimate relationship with the company. I'm sure Teachable is a great company as well, but I can vouch for Thinkific, so that's why I use them.
And their customer support is good, and they value. I mean, I'm in the States and I use them, and I would say the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. James, I was told by tech support there was no charge if I use PayPal. Is that accurate for Thinkific?
Yes. Well, now that let's be so the Thinkific model is that when you charge, they will take a payment. They will take a percentage of the sale of the course. So they are going to take their percentage. They're not charging you per se, but they're revenue sharing with you if you're using their free version. PayPal is also going to take its cut, or Stripe or anybody else. So you've got lots of people reaching into your pocket when you're selling any course. So you're going to have the credit card processing or the financial processing fee, and then you're going to have Thinkific's cut if you're not a premium member. If you're paying for your subscription, then Thinkific takes nothing, but you're still going to pay your PayPal fee.
All righty. Let's see. Stuart.
That's right, Dave. I like the cut of their jib. Arr.
Stuart is talking about recording the modules. I have a training course that I want to turn into a course. Would you recommend that I record large chunks, example an hour, and then cut it up into small modules, example 5 minutes? Or would you recommend that I film each 5-minute chunk separately?
I personally find it easier to flow, to do the whole thing and then cut it up. That would be, I would find personally, from my perspective, when I get on a roll and I start doing it, that's the way I would do it. But that's going to be personal choice. It's going to be whatever you find is most effective. Somebody asked you how long Thinkific's been in business. At least 3 years. I'm thinking 4 years. They're pretty large now. They've moved offices into a much larger office. So they're I'd say they're a serious company.
Okay. Connie, I'm just not sure in your question what's the downside, where that's referring to as a question.
Yeah, maybe you can clarify.
Yeah, please clarify. Peggy's asking, how long have you been using the model process for your courses, and can you recommend one of your courses as a great example of all these steps in action?
Well, the one that we showed, I think, showed it really, which was the your digital legacy after you die, because that one, there was one where we delivered the course and we took a lot of feedback from the community before we created the supporting content. But almost any of our free courses are delivered with this metaphor, in one form or another. Even our Evernote Quick Start, which is a very much more fleshed out course, it came out of a series of webinars that I did teaching people how to use Evernote. So almost all of our content has been this kind of has had this this incubator of us delivering the content at one time or another in a webinar. So even if that webinar didn't end up actually part of it, it was always part of the creation process.
All right. Ray was saying, one of my complaints about Udemy is that they post on the site at $2.99, then discount it to $15. I don't mind paying $15 to take the course, but wouldn't appreciate it if my course was discounted. Does Thinkific get involved in the price of the course? Not
at all. That's my biggest issue with Udemy too, is they're constantly moving the prices up and down. They got their special Black Friday sales and they got all of this. And that's not a game that I like to play. I like to be consistent with my pricing, and I like to be in control of it. And I don't like anybody to feel that they paid more than they had to because somebody else bought it 2 weeks later and they got it cheaper. So Thinkific doesn't do the marketing for you as Udemy does. They also don't dictate price. And if somebody buys a different Thinkific course, that doesn't mean they have access to your course. It's just, we're independent contractors with Thinkific. That's what I like about Thinkific.
Alrighty. What about having interactive videos where you can ask questions and students' answers are recorded?
Yeah, they've got all of the Q&A capability. You've got a variety of different ways to manage that. You can set up Facebook groups. You can set up Discuss. There's a lot of different ways that you can set up student interaction. It's difficult in an online course because of the real-time nature, but certainly the store and forward option of posting and dealing with questions through chat or email type metaphors works just fine with Thinkific. How are the backgrounds produced? PowerPoint? The ones that I did in ours, I just do them in Keynote.
All right. How long are your videos on average in Thinkific?
Well, the webinars typically are 45 minutes, 35 to 45 minutes, I would say, for the most part. Once we're into the actual course content, and if I'm creating additional supporting material, those videos are often 1.5 to 7 minutes long. They're short and they're on the point. But those are the ones that we kind of embed in a page. So they don't all have to be long form video. The webinars are long form video by their nature. The rest of them are task based. It's, this is how you do this thing.
All right. Let's see. What do you recommend as the easiest way to produce a video on Windows PC?
I would say Camtasia would be my most recommended way. You could also use some of the web tools. I saw somebody posted that they use. I think Diane said that she uses Screencast-O-Matic. So there's a few others, but Camtasia would be the one that I'd want to learn because it does a very good job of producing screencast videos in Windows. By the way, I should point out, I don't know if we mentioned it, but the link that we've been sharing for Thinkific, have we put our link up?
I did earlier, but I will.
I appreciate you use it, but I want you to know that it's an affiliate link, that we do have a business relationship with Thinkific, and I am an affiliate for that product. So if you end up buying it, I make money. And I like that. I like making money.
All right, hold on one second. I lost my screen here. All right. Let's see. I noticed the video production platforms are now offering Square videos for mobile, obviously, evidently. What are your thoughts? Are there any changes in procedures for this?
Say the top of it again, just the very first thing you said.
Rich was saying that he's seeing more and more video production platforms making Square videos. And, what are your thoughts? And are there changes in your procedures on how you're kind of sharing video?
We went through that ourselves. We went through our Square phase. We were doing 1-minute tech tips that were designed entirely for mobile delivery in sorry, no, not YouTube, in either Facebook or in
Instagram.
Instagram. I completely forgot the name. In Facebook and Instagram. So we created a Square format video, and it was fine. And if you're delivering primarily in mobile, Square format works really well on the smartphone.
Alrighty. What kinds of companies, products are you looking for to become part of your Team Simple sponsorship? Anna's asking.
What type of products am I looking for me?
Well, it says, what kinds of products or companies are you looking for to become part of your Team Simple sponsorship? So like what types of companies, you mentioned something about sponsorship. So what are you thinking in terms of what types of company you want to partner with? I think that's the question.
I'm not too sure what they mean. If they're talking about us as a brand and as a business, DottoTech, we've got, there's certain types of brands that we would be interested in doing business with. I mean, I've got affiliate relationships with people like Thinkific and a few others. So maybe they could clarify that question. I don't know. I think you always look for partnerships with brands that match your value system, that have a product or a service that affects your community. So that combination. One of the things I always look for are they products that I use. We pretty much don't affiliate. Well, we don't have an affiliate relationship or any brand relationship with any product that I wasn't a customer of already.
Alrighty. I know you have an entire course on screencasting, but do you cover this in creating your first online course?
Yeah, I covered a little bit in creating your first online course, and also but there's some little you'll get a real good idea of the process. Actually, we've got a YouTube series. We just launched a YouTube series, how we create our videos. It's a 3-part series. There's about 45 minutes of video in the series. If you go to our YouTube channel, and actually, I'll just grab it for you. I'll grab you the first link. It is, so there's a 3-part series where I go through our entire video production process. That gives you a really good idea of how we do it, including all of the hardware that we use, etc. Just give me a half a second here, and I will post that. And while I'm doing this, you can ask me the next question.
Alrighty. Alex is saying, I'd like to post the course on my own site instead of sending the client to another site. What are your thoughts?
I got to close the window. Oh, and I got 2 windows open. So okay. Anyways, go ahead.
So I'd like to post the course on my own website instead of sending the client to another site.
Okay. Then you're going to step into a challenging area. What you're going to do then is you're going to have to set up some sort of a membership site, and you're going to have to set up so that you've got and that is, to me, that's a whole different conversation. But we did it in the past. And actually, I've got a little course on, or a video I just released on doing that using Evernote as your course delivery system, which gives you another option, which is free and gives you a little bit more control. But basically setting up a membership site, it tends to be, the problem with that is when you start managing your own administrative system like that, is you end up spending more time administering your students than teaching your students, because there's all sorts of issues they're always having with passwords and access and all permissions and all sorts of stuff. When you start protecting, see, the nature of membership sites is that you create content that you put behind a firewall, a gate, to let people in. So you've got all these elaborate locks for people to get in, but people are accessing them through different browsers and through different devices, and so all of the subtleties of the internet come into play, and people can't gain access with this browser, and it's not updated with this, and then WordPress updates their security settings, and all of a sudden all of your systems break, and it'll drive you crazy. Way easier to let somebody else deal with it. Thinkific deals with it for us.
Yes, I can attest to that painful piece of the membership on the site. WISP.
Oh, don't even get me going. Oh, Anna was asking about the $250 level of Patreon sponsorship. We've got a corporate level of sponsorship. Anna, what I would recommend is that's a conversation that we should have offline. It's not really appropriate for here, but I would love to have a conversation with you. Drop me a message just to info@dottotech.com, and April will connect us.
All right. Does Thinkific offer a way to deliver PDF content?
Yeah, you can set up downloads. So you can have, it doesn't convert your content automatically to PDF. You're going to have to do, you have to create your PDFs, but it's got a full download manager.
All right. And then Peggy's saying, I love it. I love that when you update your courses, it gets automatically updated for everyone who purchased it. Is that an easy thing to set up in Thinkific?
Yeah, absolutely. Because they're getting into this, because you're updating a website effectively. So anything that the most current content that you've posted is updated for everybody. Plus you can set up notifications so people know when the new content is there. Works out really well from that perspective.
All right. A follow-up to Alex's question, follow-up on my question about setting up the course on my site. Are there any companies that do the admin and allow you to embed the videos on your site?
Yeah, absolutely. April is that sort of a company. You have a service company that deals with and manages your can manage all of your systems. April did it for us. So finding somebody that does that sort of stuff would be what I'd look for. I don't have names of other ones.
All right. I think we're...
Oh, yeah. James saying, I was there using CoursePress Pro with WordPress. It was a nightmare. I feel your pain, James. We feel your pain.
Let's see. I love YouTube videos. Please, can you please explain what is the rev share model with Thinkific team?
Can you post it as well? I can't hear you.
Yep. Hold on.
We're gonna have to look at moving webinar Wednesday's time. I think the new townhouse that I've moved into, I think the maintenance people are here every Wednesday at like 10:30.
All right. Do you see it?
Okay. So the revenue sharing model with Thinkific works thusly. You create a course. You have a free Thinkific account. You can build your course. You never pay a nickel to Thinkific. Signing up is free. You sign up, and now you've finished building your course, and you're ready to try selling it. So rather than now pay for a paid account on Thinkific, which would be like $49 or $99 a month, you say, no, I'm not too sure I'm going to sell enough courses. My course is only $19.95. I don't want to, I'm not. It's not worth me paying $100 a month if I only sell 5 courses. All my money goes to pay for this service. So what Thinkific does is it allows you to sell the course, and they take a percentage. All of the numbers are listed on their site, but it's a reasonable percentage. So they take a percentage of that sale. So what you do is you watch your numbers, and once you kind of reach the point where you're giving them more money, or you're giving them the same amount as it would cost you to purchase a subscription, then you switch over and purchase the subscription. But you're only giving them the money when you make a sale. So they're taking their cut before they send the money to you, much like PayPal does or any of the other online services. So that's how they revenue share with you to get you kind of over the hump into the place where you're profitable. I think it's a really great way of doing things. Allows you to bootstrap.
Let's see. Starting from ground zero, how long did it take you to get what you consider to be a comfortable level, courses versus income? I know it is different for each person, but I'm curious.
Stephen, it really depends on how well you've established a community that you can sell to. You know, if you've been building when we sold our first course, I had already been doing YouTube videos for several years, and I already had a mail list of 12,000 people or so. So that's when I started selling my first course. So it was, so I had an audience that was ready for it. And so it didn't take long. But even so, I was unsuccessful in my first few tries, or modestly successful in my first few tries. So it really depends. If you've got a community, building your community is what takes the time. Selling a course, to be perfectly honest, if we said next week we're going to sell something, an online course based on a webinar, we could put something together in 2 weeks, a week to 2 weeks. That content side isn't the hard part. The hard part is the ongoing community building. That's the real challenge, and also where success lies. You know, if you build your community up, it's not that. It's not. I shouldn't say it's not that difficult, because it's always difficult, but it's the harder. It's the thing that you have to pay more attention to constantly.
I'm sorry, my youngest came down and took a look at the basement, and he was sign languaging me.
You should put him on camera. Do not do that now. But we should litter shame him.
He's going to blame his brother.
By the way, we're past the top of the hour, and there's still quite a few questions. Anybody that has to leave now, if you have to go, please, we will send out the replay. Thank you so much for spending time with us. But for the rest of us, we will continue with another 10 minutes or so.
All right. Tim's saying, I lost my question. Are you suggesting that the very first webinar actually include the course content, or is it more of a dry run when you are covering the content, knowing that you are ultimately going to create a course after you fine tune the content from the webinars? You
could do it either way. And to be honest, sometimes with these webinars that we do on a weekly basis here, the reaction to the webinar gives me the thought that we should do a course out of it. And so that would be that kind of dry run concept you're talking about. Other times we had the plan for it to become a course right from the get-go. So it's going to be your own, whatever works and makes most sense for you. But I would say for the most part, for people that are on this call, on this webinar right now, you'd be looking at the second case, which is we're going to actually create it as a course, deliver it once, and then deliver it again. Because then you're doing it all with the intent. It's not the voyage of discovery, but it's really planning and, following a process towards the final delivery of the course.
I see people do a lot of pre-sale too, where they kind of put out feelers, and I'm curious on your opinion of that. So they'll put out feelers of like, oh, we're going to do this course, and then they have people sign up. But then if they don't get enough people of what they're looking for, their goal, they cancel it.
There is a lot of that going on, and I have a lot of concerns about that. And a lot of people teach that. And some people that do webinars teach that as a webinar strategy. Sell your course, pre-sell it, tell people you're going to deliver this course, get a bunch of money in to pay for the development of the course. It's a really smart way to do things. And on the surface, that looks like a brilliant idea. But I think that's a bad idea if it's your first course, because you don't know how long it takes to deliver a course. You don't know if you can do a good job on the course. I think selling something before you've built it is disingenuous. It's something that I think once you've done several courses and delivered several courses, and you know the process, you know how long it takes, you know the quality that you can deliver, then you can consider doing that. And it's up to you then whether or not you want to do it, and it might be a really good model to follow. We do it to a certain extent. I mean, our courses that we deliver live, obviously we haven't delivered the content. I've got the content all outlined, but I haven't recorded it. I haven't built all of the slides. I haven't done all of that. So we do it to a certain extent, but we've delivered many courses. And we really understand the process. So doing that for your first time, I just think that I think that it might well work out, but it's taking a risk.
And and I would agree. My first course that I ever did was a few years ago, and I delivered it via email. So all the recordings were done via email, but they were live to begin with. And I set my goal low. I set my expectations that if I had 10 paying people in that class, it was okay because I was learning and I knew that I was going to deliver good content. And then the next course I did, I doubled my number and it got higher from there. So I definitely think just if you set, pre-selling is just meh.
I see Stuart just commented here and asked me about whether I followed up with Hey Mike, which is a Bluetooth microphone, and I didn't. I got all distracted with the family stuff going on. So I'd love to circle back with you on that, Stuart, if you can reach out back to me, and I'd like to take a look at that product eventually. They're based in England. It's a Bluetooth mic, which I think would be cool for vlogging and stuff. That
is cool. Jessica was asking earlier about Crowdcast versus Webinar Jam. And so I said that I would ask what your opinion was. And I said, you and I have maybe a little bit different opinion on Crowdcast.
I still think Crowdcast is a great tool. I think Crowdcast, if you're delivering webinars directly within Crowdcast, it's got a lot going for it. It's a really nice environment to deliver them in. It doesn't do as good a job with the structure that we look for, and all of the different, how sophisticated our webinars are that we do with all of the integration into Infusionsoft and how we take our webinars and move them through into Thinkific ourselves and package them up for the archives. It just didn't work well for us, and mainly because of the integration and the fact that I couldn't embed video directly in, and I had to use a third-party product. It was just too many moving pieces with Crowdcast. But if I'm just delivering a webinar as a show, and I don't need to have the hybrid version that we do with incorporating video and stuff like that, I still think Crowdcast is a pretty good tool. A little bit expensive, but a good tool.
Tim was asking, and I was just answering. He was asking about, can you do both free and sales presentations on Thinkific?
Oh yeah, you can. That's one of the beauties of Thinkific is you can create free content for list building or for generating community. You can do that till the cows come home for free.
You can,
but once the cows are home, what's that?
Yeah, but what I wanted to bring up to that was, because I set somebody up recently in there, is that you just have to be mindful that if there's certain functionality that doesn't come on the free version of Thinkific, it's great for list building, like you said. But when you want to go to a paid course and you want people to have access to certain features, you definitely need to start paying for the account. But you can go in for free, set it all up, but then knowing that when you want that functionality, you're going to have to upgrade.
Okay, good.
All right. I agree, Peggy. Lots of tech issues with Crowdcast. What are the top 5 cost webinar solutions? Cost-effective webinar solutions, maybe?
I would check out our Webinar Palooza. We have Webinar Palooza at our site, and we go through them all there. We cover it in Webinar Palooza because depending on what type of webinar you're going to be delivering, it's very different which one we recommend. For online marketing of the sort that we do, Webinar Jam is a great tool. But if I was doing meetings and coaching calls, Zoom is a great tool. If I'm in a corporate environment and where people are really comfortable with, and they want to suppress the chat and they want to suppress the social interaction, then GoToWebinar is a great solution. It depends on your environment.
And I think that's a wrap, Guy.
Good. Excellent. I enjoyed this today. I hope you folks did too. So reminders, email will be sent out a little bit later. We'll drop once more the link to Thinkific. If you want to take a trial, please use our affiliate link if you choose to. For those of you who are considering supporting us on Patreon, have a look. It is great to invite you into the community. And our existing patrons, we want to say once again, thank you ever so much. Next week, my one secret solution to making sure that your productivity tools all work, and actually not just your productivity tools, but all tools work for you. April, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
I hope that your den is